Welcome to the Black Knight Nation podcast. I'm your host, Sal Interdonado. The Black Knight Nation podcast is sponsored by Higher Echelon. Higher Echelon run by Joe Ross, former Army fullback, former Army assistant coach, former Army officer, guest on the Black Knight Nation podcast. And please check our YouTube channel. This is our third podcast of the week, I believe. Talked to wrestling coach Kevin Ward a couple days ago on their season coming up. Talked to 1972 football players, Ed Francis and Bob Hines, about them winning the first Commander in Chief's trophy 50 years ago. That was a good one. And tonight we're going to preview the Air Force game on Saturday. And we have Steve Anderson, our co-host here. We have Brendan in Jersey, who's also appeared on multiple reviews. And our special guest tonight is none other than James Nautical. James, this is, I think, like your third time on the Black Knight Nation podcast.
Oh yeah,
Man, we appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
absolutely, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I just text James today, and he said he'd come on, and we got a big game coming up on Saturday. You James, you and Steve were talking about your plans to watch the game on Saturday, right?
Oh yeah.
You guys are in Colorado, so you're kind of in enemy territory. So maybe Steve, what are you guys doing? Steve's on mute.
Is he? Well, I can
Yeah,
answer
he's on
for him.
mute.
Oh, he's
There's
got it.
there's a place called Mother Muffs. That's where we're gonna watch it in Old Colorado City
Oh yeah.
this weekend. So they got an amazing breakfast. So looking forward to that. A little brunch action, and then start the mimosas or whatever we got to do
Couple Peach
once
Brew beers.
kickoff happens. So however it goes, but it's a huge watch party. Always a good turnout in Colorado Springs. You know, there's several Army bases out here, and a lot of guys end up retiring or move out here to work. So always good. Always good to connect with old grads, and then just Army football fans in general. So it'll be a good. And I look forward to seeing James. 9:30 kickoff. All right.
Oh yeah. Bright and
Hey
early.
guys, yeah.
It's a great great weekend when you can start watching Army at 9:30 in the morning. I stand by this. Mountain time zone, best time zone to watch sports, in my opinion.
I'll second that. Yeah.
So it's you're watching night games and still got time to hang out with the wife afterwards. And if there's football on, there's usually a beer in the hand, so it's never too bad to start at 9:30 in the morning. So. Well, yeah, definitely look forward to it. Got a intense matchup. Always with Air Force. Sal, as we know, everybody hates them. So,
I got on a conference call this week with Kobina Bonzu, and he's been through a bunch of these Army Air Force games, right? And I asked him to describe the rivalry in a few words. He came up with one word: heated. He came up with heated as to describe the rivalry. James, you played in it too. Is that a pretty fair assessment of the description for the rivalry?
Oh
with
yeah.
Air Force, or
Oh yeah. I'd say heated, violent, maybe even hated. Who knows? It's a fun rivalry because it's very different from like Army Navy. Like you can see that with the way the game typically goes, but it's just you're just there to lay the wood, hit people, hurt people, have fun.
I got a chance. Last weekend I was down in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and just got to link up with some old players there, some old buddies, and they're excited. I mean, it's going to be everybody I know that's in that area that was a football player. They're bringing their family, so it'll be a great game. I don't necessarily like the venue. I think football should never be played. I don't think America's Passion Time should ever be played in America's pastime stadiums. Okay, so that's I just football rules all. I'm with OBJ. You make billions of dollars in this sport. Everything should be grass. Fix it, resod it, whatever you need to do. Get rid of the artificial turf and play on a football field in a football stadium.
here. Yeah, I mean, you guys had played – Steve, you played in Yankee Stadium, right? James, did you play in Yankee Stadium too or no?
No, we never played in a baseball stadium.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, we actually were the first game ever in the new Yankee Stadium. First football game ever to be played at the new New York Yankee Stadium. So,
Notre Dame, right?
yep. Michael Floyd, one of the biggest men ever. Harrison Smith, Minnesota Vikings safety. Eifert, I believe Eifert was injured and Ertz was playing instead, I believe. But a lot of great talent. There's probably still an imprint of the side of my body in the outfield where I got pancaked by a pulling tackle as I was making an arm tackle. So like I had the running back here and I just got squished. And I literally felt my body go into the ground. Largest line, them and Iowa State. So anyway, back to Army Air Force.
Yeah, Steve, real quick, let's talk about. We were talking before we went on air. We got to talk about this wrestling hold that you were able to get away with in one of the
No,
Army Air Force
wasn't
games.
it wasn't a wrestling hold. It just the guy just happened to be coming through the gap, and my hand just caught his throat. So I was able to shed the block shortly thereafter, and I just kind of put my other hand on him and choke slammed him to the ground the best I could. So
As you should.
it was a very, I used to love power bombing people in football, and then I got flagged a couple times for that. So I couldn't power bomb anymore. They said that was, unnecessary roughness or whatever. Once you pick a guy up, you can't slam him.
That's James up. That 21-0 win that you were a part of, I think we talked about it when you were on the podcast the last time. I don't know if there were any like choke slams or power bombs or anything like that, but that was definitely a beatdown, right? And one of the more memorable, Army wins over Air Force, not in just recent history, in the series period. I think we talked a little bit about it before, but that just the mindset you guys had going in, right? To shut them out on their home field and to just kind of shut them up too, I'm guessing, right? I mean, can you just maybe relive that with us for a little bit?
Yeah. That was it 2017, I think.
I think 2017, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the year we played there. I think we were having a pretty good year. I don't remember what our record was that year, but we were having a great year, I think. And I don't remember how they were doing, but confidence was in the air, right? Everybody's feeling good. Our defense, I think, had been doing pretty well. And I don't know. The stars just kind of aligned with it. Bateman, our D coordinator, was I love the guy. He's a great defensive coordinator, and he was very, very passionate about it, much like every other coaching staff, right? The mindset he had was, let's spank these guys. Let's embarrass them, make them feel, because you can beat them, you can play them, you can play well, all this stuff, but to like professionally embarrass them is a great accomplishment, I think, and I think that's what we went in there trying to do, and that's what we ended up doing. And it was just our offense was rolling. They had a great game, and our defense was just shoving it down their throats. And it was, just a fight in the trenches. Everybody's hitting everybody every play, and whether you're a DB or a receiver or whatever, you're out there for blood. And it's just it's a very fun feeling to look up at the end of a game and just see a goose egg on the opposing team's scoreboard, especially when it's in their house. So it was a good time. We enjoyed it, and that's one game I think I'll remember more than anything, just because it felt so good to shut them out at home.
Yeah, we talk a little bit about Steve. Talk about too about when your career is done, when your college career is done, and who you might run into it, like whether it be former Navy or former Air Force people after, and they'll always ask you how you did against your service academies. And James, when you can bring up that game, right? I mean, that's definitely a good one. And Steve can bring up his choke slams, and Army. Steve, I mean, I know it's a touchy subject with you as far as the Navy Air Force rivalries, but you have memories, right? And you still hold those memories today pretty close, right? About the experience of playing, like just what it's like to play in these games, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, they're out of the trio, right? These three games are unique in itself, because it's the old meme, right? It's everybody you're watching on the field has decided to go down a path that's willing to fight for everybody who's watching them, right? So it's just kind of cool when it's all these guys that are, all these guys that have all chosen to, serve the higher purpose or serve their United States Army, Air Force, Navy. So it's just kind of, it's a very unique thing, and it's a very intense rivalry for the most part, other than the dark years of Army. It doesn't matter what the team's records are. It doesn't matter, how well a team could be. Air Force could be 8-0 going in this game, and Army could be 0-8, or vice versa, and the game could be coming down to a point, a possession, a turnover, and that's what's really cool about. They're truly rivalries, right? Now that all three teams are where they should be, other than the dark years in Army. So really looking forward to it. I'm expecting a fast game, second and third, rushing offenses in the country. So just going to have to, minimize mistakes on the offense, right? Minimize mistakes on the offense, and hold on to the ball and capitalize on the opportunities that Air Force gives us. And it'll be a great game. It'll be a great win on Saturday.
Yeah, Brendan, we talked about on the last podcast, I think we did when we reviewed the Louisiana Monroe game, that Army's given some free points away this year, right? They've given the ball away at the doorstep a couple times, and you can't do that in this game, right? And I was even thinking even personal foul penalties. You can't give them any yardage. You can't give them any easy. You got to make them drive the length of the field, right? Brendan, just talk about that a little bit, about how you need to play pretty much a clean game in these games to be successful, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, even kind of like as I've definitely been happy with the improvement of the team the past couple of weeks, and there's definitely been a lot of improvement, and I think a lot of that, at least on offense, has to do with Jamel Jones and just the consistency he's bringing at the position, and not having a rotation there on every series or within series. But yeah, I mean, I think they had 0 penalties in the last game, which is great. But yeah, even something, I think it was in the Colgate game, there was a fumble that wasn't really a fumble, but if an Army player just dives on the ball, it's no change of possession. It's not going to replay or anything. So it's just it's a lot of little moments like that add up, especially in a game like this week.
Yeah, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really feel like this year we've had a bunch of bad penalties on defense where it's cost us either, a punt. Yeah, there's been a few, but I wouldn't say that's a reoccurring theme. More so than in the earlier games, we hurt ourselves with playing behind the sticks, and that's what I've noticed more than That's when I noticed the penalties hurt us the most, is when we're 1st and 10, we have 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5, but it's 1st and 20 because of a holding or one of those chop block calls that they have. I still don't. I mean, I literally watched those plays, and I think it's just if the referee thinks it's dirty, he just throws it, because there's chop blocks that happen every play, and sometimes they get penalized for it. And I understand the high-low call, but there's some ones where I'm like, that was a good chop block. Why is that a flag? So, but playing behind the sticks, can't do it. Stay in front of it. Play our down and distance where we have success, and minimize those penalties that really hurt us there.
Yeah, the negative yardage plays too. There's been a little bit more negative yardage plays this year than there has been in the past. Fullbacks, being stopped at the line a little bit more often, but that's because, Buchanan and Riley have been a little banged up. Riley was a beast in the last game against Louisiana Monroe. And these last 2 games, he's been really on fire. So I think that, it's good to have healthy Tyson Riley in this game. Your 2 top fullbacks are ready to go, so that should help. As far as quarterbacks, Monken did the press conference today, he did his radio show last night. He's not going to announce quarterback, but he says he's got 3 healthy. I think he got 3 ready to go, and Jamel Jones, Tyler Tyler, and Cade Ballard. If you don't start Jamel Jones in this game, I think that, I don't know, you have to start Jamel from what he's done in the last 2 games and have Tyler ready, because Tyler's had success in these games, right? Tyler's played in a lot of these Service Academy games, so he has the experience. This will be Jamel's first Service Academy start. So, roll with that and see where it goes. And if you feel the need to bring in Tyler, then bring in Tyler. But I think Jamel's pretty much earned the start in this game. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that for sure.
I'd play him because he's your one senior quarterback who's local. He's the one Texas kid. And as I kind of dug into today, our Army football loves playing in Texas in the Monken era. They are 9-3 playing in the state of Texas. 5-0 since 2018. So hey, you got a senior cool-headed quarterback from Texas. I say you start with him.
Yeah, and easily could have been 8-2 had that Texas A&M game go a little different, because they were right there with Texas A&M. But yeah, look, if I'll be happy whoever starts, who plays well. It's really about who's been executing the offense in practice, and who's got. And I get it. Like, Jamel's had great couple games, but these coaches see these guys every single day at practice, and I love the gamer Jamel's been. Right, love the gamer he's been, showing up. Getting these 2 wins when we've been banged up, huge for if you're looking at what our goals are, or what their goals are expected to be, I would say, for the season. So this is really, this game this weekend sets up a lot of opportunities and allows this team to get that second win, knowing that they can win the CIC, knowing that bowl eligibility is still on the table, knowing that nobody likes Air Force.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of stars aligning, a lot of external motivational things that are going on. Just got to hope those guys execute.
Yeah. Just wanted to have a defensive note real quick. I might stand to be corrected here, but Jabari Moore had the big pick last year in the game, right? And I thought he had 2 years ago, he had another pick. It might have been against Air Force or Navy, but he's the guy to definitely watch out for in this game. The defense, I think, James, I don't know how you feel in that game where you guys shut them down, but the defensive line play is so important in this game. I think they're going to set the linebackers up to make plays, right? Like Leo Lone's flying all around the field, right? And if Andre Carter plays it, Coach Woody says he's practicing this week. We'll see how much he can play. If he can play, he may not be able to go the whole game, but get Andre Carter back on the field, see what happens. But guys like Bonzu and Nate Smith and, Darius Richardson, those are, I think, are some of the most important guys in this game, in my opinion. I don't know, James, maybe you can just let in some insight about how important, the trenches are important, but then those guys to open up plays for the linebackers.
Yeah, I mean, people like Andre Carter, I think, are huge for these games because, one, he's been in them plenty of times and he's played very well, right? But he kind of understands that, like, the Air Force and the Navy games are very different from playing, Louisiana Monroe or playing Duke or playing whoever, right? It's a whole different play style, right? Because you're not trying to beat a guy on a block, you're not trying to snake around a pass block or something like that. You're just crashing down the line, filling gaps, hitting people in the mouth. And, at the end of the day,
your assignment.
Yeah, it's discipline and just doing your job. And if you go back and watch the last however many games, like, the guys that win are the guys that do their job. So it's a lot about the discipline. You don't need to be a hero, right? You just got to do your job. And if your job is to tackle a guy, hit him as hard as you can. If your job's just to fill a gap or plug a hole, like, put your helmet in somebody's chin and do it. And so I think they understand that, right? For a lot of the newer guys in the field, um, it's just a different play style. So having a little bit of leadership out there from guys who have experienced it, and yeah, I mean, I can hear Monken's voice in my head right now. Just do your job, do your job, do your job, and discipline, discipline, discipline. So that's a huge part, especially I think on the defense, of just doing what you're supposed to do and doing it better than anybody in front of you.
The team that plays better defense is I mean, so Air Force's defense is only giving up like 16 points a game, right? Mm-hmm. And we might be averaging more points a game as far as like we're getting more points on the board, but we're essentially even. We're scoring 32, but we're giving up 30, right? We have I think I just looked it up. Let me see here. Let me relook at it. We are the 174th ranked scoring defense in the country. Okay,
174th, mm-hmm. Steve.
Yeah, it's like out of all.
Wow. Okay.
So it's almost 30 points a game. So it's we've just gotta. It's going to be a defensive game. Our defense has got to show up. Our offense has been putting up points all year round, and we need our defense to step up in this game, and hold Air Force, under 20. We need 20 or less.
One thing I can say about that is Nate Woody, right? In the Service Academy games that he's been the defensive coordinator at Army, they've been low-scoring games. The defense hasn't really given up much, so hopefully you have some hope with that, and that the defensive line real quick. They've been rotating guys. They've been rotating like 8 or 9 guys a game, Brendan, right? I mean, they're keeping guys fresh. They're keeping the defensive line shifting guys in and out. So Chris Frey's getting some playing time in. Austin Hill's getting some playing time in. Tyler Komorowski's getting some playing time. They're even playing some younger guys every once in a while, Trey Sophia and Kamari Copeland. So I think that could be a positive. That could be a positive. I don't know how you feel about the rotation there on the defensive line.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, defense is a little different than offense, I'd say. Like whatever you can do to keep those guys being able to give like 100% effort on every play, I'm all for. Do we have any idea if Carter's going to play this week?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, Woody says he's practicing. He could play. He may not play like the whole game, but I think he makes the trip, and they see like it might be a game time thing. And I have to think if Andre Carter can put the uniform on, he's going to play. In this game.
I was going to say if he's got the option, I bet you he's playing. Most people aren't gonna try and pass that one up to recover. That's a playable game.
You got to play this one. If you miss Troy or UConn down the line, and you re-aggravate. I don't know. I think he's battling a back injury potentially. I know he had that in the preseason. I'm not sure what his injury is right now specifically, but I mean, I think he's been close a couple times to playing in the last 2 games, but it's just been that didn't feel right toward the middle of the week. Didn't feel right toward game time. So I think he's going to play. I think he'll play. I thought he was going to play against Louisiana Monroe. I'm on the field on Louisiana Monroe, and I'm like, I don't see Andre Carter anywhere, and he sat out that game, and maybe it was to get a little bit more extra recovery time for this one. Just wanted to bring up something. Brahim Murphy is a guy who I want to talk about real quick. He's a slot back for Army. He's a senior, and NFL Films did a really great video story on his where he came from in the Charlotte area of North Carolina, how his high school coach kind of took him in. And man, if you got 8 minutes, guys, please watch this. It's on my Twitter right now. I retweeted it. The video is up there. It's a really awesome story. And I remember the story went through recruiting when Brahim became a Black Knight. And Brendan, I have to call myself out on the Louisiana Monroe recap. I was giving Ijon Marshall all the credit for all these things that he did in the game, right? Well, Brahim Murphy was the guy who knocked the defensive back of Louisiana Monroe out of the end zone to save an interception that saved Army some points. Brahim Murphy was the guy who returned the opening kick of the second half for a touchdown,
Mm-hmm.
but it got called back because of a holding penalty, I believe, at the 45 of Louisiana Monroe. So Brahim Murphy's made a couple big plays. I remember him having a big plays earlier in the season. I mean, with no Tyrell Robinson, we still haven't heard exactly what's going on with Tyrell, but I gotta believe that he's probably will not be playing in this game. So it's up to Ijon Marshall and Brahim Murphy to give those big, Steven, James, you can talk about this a lot. Those chunk plays in these Service Academy games, they're so important, right? Those big plays. You love to grind it out like 10 minutes. Of course, defense loves when the offense is on the field for 8 to 10 minutes on a long drive. But you need those chunk plays to like just switch the field sometimes, or big plays to score. I remember 2019, Cam Harrison had some big plays in the passing game that made it a close game. You have Isaiah Austin. Air Force is going to probably put their best DB on Isaiah Austin. They're going to probably, pay a lot of attention to him. Get the tight end involved too, maybe. Get Josh Lingenfelter involved. You're not going to be able to run. This is not a game where I don't think you're not going to be able to complete a pass and win. I think you're going to have to throw the ball a little bit to keep Air Force honest. And I think those big chunk plays sometimes are some of the most important plays in these games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think, and the good thing is those two guys have the capacity to, the way I view it is right. They're running fullback dives. They're running everything inside the tackles. 4 or 5 plays in a row, and then, Brent Davis does the one toss outside, right, or get something outside the tackles, and that's where those guys are keys because they're athletic, right? They're very, very athletic, and they can make a guy miss. And you get on the outside in an Army Air Force game, and you make a guy miss, you got a chance of making up some yards. So I think those plays are huge, and I'm confident, I think, in both of their abilities to do that. So yeah, I would say that's going to be a huge factor in the game. Like, give them get some big plays on the board on the offense.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it all year, right? So the times our offense is clicking is when we've got perimeter play, and it starts with the offense establishing some kind of success in the middle, right? And then we do the perimeter, either triple option, halfback toss, and then we can, one of my favorite plays is the what is it? It's I forget what it's called. Reverse. It's when the quarterback reverse. I don't know. Does the full 360 fake?
Yeah, it does like a full pivot. Yeah,
he does the full pivot. I forget what the actual term of it, but he does the full pivot, fake fullback dive, and then just right there to the slot at the seam, man. Just boom, quick. It's like a 3-second play. The slot back is already at like 10 yards when he catches it, and it happens so quick. One of my favorite pass plays out of triple option offenses. But that only happens once they start trying to overcompensate because they can't stop the dive or the toss, or we're getting to the edge. And now the safety / linebackers are looking in the wrong spot and not watching the slot back. So that's one of my favorite plays. I know Sal hopes to see a couple inside counters.
Those plays. My favorite calls. Yeah. I want to see something different. I want to see something different in this game from Army, but I don't want to see any trick plays because trick plays just usually don't go well for Army.
I don't know. I don't know what our success rate is, and I haven't seen it done a lot this year. But I don't see a lot of counter option. Am I off there? Do we run counter option quite a bit?
I would say no.
Not as much as they used to.
Yeah, I just feel like there's not a lot of counter op. You fullback dive to the right. Quarterback opens up, fullback dives, and then just kind of does this 180 with the slot back coming back. Reverse pivot.
I guess they say Nebraska used to run that play.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Army ran it with Glenn Davis before Nebraska in the 80s, okay?
We got the film probably on that, Steve. We got the film.
But yeah,
Yeah.
no, like they don't run as much QB counter anymore, and they don't run they don't run that toss sweep much anymore.
No.
I think I've seen either
I just
play
remember-
less than a handful of times
Yeah.
this season.
The toss sweep was hard because it happened so quick because the slot backs got like a 10 or like a 5 or 7 yard, sprint head start essentially. And or like they also, the other really good play is that sweep into hitting the slot back on the opposite side with a pass up the seam. But I mean, I just remember as a linebacker, the counter option and then the quick fake pitch and then hitting the seam. Those were two or three really hard plays to make sure if your eyes and your keys weren't right, somebody was going to miss it. And to the original reason we brought this up, the big chunk plays, right? Those are where you can get your chunk plays.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I like to see, and I don't know, Christian Anderson ran it pretty well. Is that I guess is a reverse pivot, but then he bootlegs out and he has like a fullback lead block in front of him, like a Buchanan lead blocking in front of him. That's something that I think if they can get the ball to the outside on that play, that would be something with Jamel Jones. I think Tyler runs off tackle pretty good too. I think Tyler's a pretty good off tackle too. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Just look at real quick. We haven't done really much on the Air Force, and they have Brad Roberts, a fullback, who's probably one of the best fullbacks that Air Force has had in a long time. I mean,
Dude
he's
is
really
a load.
good.
That dude
He's
is
really
a
good.
load. He runs hard. He runs mean. That guy is a great running back. It's been really it's been fun to watch some of his highlights this year, but he's gonna get stuck so hard on Saturday. I can't wait.
I did go behind enemy lines a couple weeks ago when they played Boise. I was sold on free Bud Lights, so I wore some Army gear, went to the game. I was watching them, analyzing them, and they're all right. Like they're not that great, honestly. And I kind of thought beginning of the season they were going to be a powerhouse with the way they're playing, but watching them against Boise, I kind of saw some fault in them, and I wasn't too impressed. I think they got some good players who can do some good things. I think their quarterback's pretty good. That fullback's pretty good. They got a couple guys on defense that are all right, but they're not. I'd say in comparison, I think it's a pretty fair matchup, and it'll be a fun matchup, I think, too, with just the rivalry itself. So I don't know. Yeah, I just was not as impressed as I thought I would be.
I'm looking at it right now. Roberts has 13 touchdowns on the season.
Yeah,
Scoring machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Jamel Jones has what 5 in 2 games or something like that. If you put you get they're similar running attacks. I mean, he is the focal point of their offense, no doubt.
Yeah.
Roberts, if you can contain him, then you're going to make the quarterback. Yeah, the quarterback Daniels is a good thrower. But he's not a great thrower. And if you can get some pressure on him and force them into third and longs or where they can't run they have to throw the ball every once in a while, then it's up to Marquell Broughton in the secondary to make some plays. And I think that Marquell's had a pretty good season. I think Leo Lowen's playing off the charts right now. I think he's always around the ball. The last 3 turnovers that Army's caused, Leo Lowen's been involved in. So let's see if he can do that again on Saturday. And we're going to see. James, that's a good scouting report. I appreciate you going out for Black Knight Nation and scouting the Falcons for us.
I was doing my best. I figured it'd come in handy at some point. I was reluctant, but like I said, free beers is a hell of a sell. So
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, so the last so Army's a 7-point underdog, I think, right now.
Hit it.
They've been the last 2 years they've been underdog and they've won this game, right? Yeah. I mean, the one was the pandemic game with 10-7 last year, 21-14 in overtime. Let's see this. We have a comment real quick. We get in here by L. L, thanks for watching the podcast. Is Army going to let Daniels get 10 to 15 yards again on quarterback scrambles? Steve, your
No,
answer to
L.
that question.
No, we're not going to let them do that. All right? There. Easy.
Yeah, I think that with a guy like Lowen, I think you do have to earlier in the season, Steve, when they were playing some dual threat quarterbacks, I'm not a defensive guy at all, right? You take care of the defense. I usually comment on the offense, but sometimes you need to keep, like we talked about the spy, right? We talk about a spy, and let's see if Daniels gets one good run, right, where he picks up a
look,
first down. Then you might want to do something, right?
The biggest thing with the QB spy is you have to suck the air, the ground out of it. So once that QB spy has determined that QB is going to pull it, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, right? Like he's pulling and he's going to run. And you got to immediately suck the air out of it or it's going to be open space. Too much green, two-way goes, right? And it's tough for anybody to be a QB spy at a position where you're not able to, beeline it to that inside hip and try to make an open field tackle, especially if he meets you square and he's got, essentially three ways, right? Left, right, and over top of you. So that's the biggest thing is QB spy. If we're going to use our linebackers, to get as spies, one is they got to be able to control the angles and suck the air out of the play as that quarterback pulls it down and decides to run. But we'll see.
You recommend?
It could be a couple different guys that QB spy him, depending on who's doing the best with it.
Yeah, and I mean they get some athletic linebackers, so it's doable. And a lot of times what you can do too is, obviously Air Force is going to run the ball mostly, right? But if you call some zone coverage in regards to that, and the linebackers are staying over the middle, you can, you can essentially double tap where you're covering zone, but you're also spying the quarterback and making sure that if he's starting to scoot out of the pocket, right, keep leaking towards him, and like Steve said, just suck the air out of it, and suddenly, that option's not even there for him to scramble.
If you do that, you could have the high safety and then just play like essentially two spies, right? He goes left linebacker goes, he goes right linebacker goes. A couple different things they can
This guy's
do.
class of 83, maybe.
Good. It's good, man. We'll be watching
Thanks
a
for joining
W on
us, Al.
Saturday, L. So
At Muffs.
sucking the air out of it. So I'm gonna be decked out in Army gear. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah.
You got the 50 jersey somewhere, Steve, or no?
Yeah, I mean it's in my it's in the
vault,
case, right? It's immortalized, I guess you would say, right? No dust on it ever. No, I don't know. I got my Army helmet. I got my bowl game helmet. I got a bunch of stuff that
You're not bringing that out to the bar, are you?
No, I have before. But I usually don't bring that stuff out anymore after I got some stuff on my jersey one time. I was like, I probably shouldn't bring this out anymore. But yeah, it'll be fun. So I saw the over under was 40. So I think we got, it's going to be, probably close, just like we saw the past couple of years, man. It's going to be a one score game, 21-14, 24-21 maybe. I don't know if it's going to be that high scoring, but definitely going to be close with Army coming out on top.
Yeah, I think if it comes down to like a kick or something like that, Quinn Moretsky's been kicking pretty solidly this season. I mean, he only has 5 opportunities at field goals, but made 4 of them. The one at Wake Forest, he missed one at Wake Forest, but I mean, has made every extra point he's taken in his career.
Kicked 2 field goals the last game. I feel like that could be huge tomorrow.
That's big in service academies.
Yeah,
if you can get a kicker who can, sink some field goals. That's it's a big advantage.
35 and in. If you can guarantee 35 and in,
yeah,
that is
just
yeah.
Take
That's
it.
huge.
I don't want to see any fourth and shorts from your own 12 in this game or anything like that. I mean, I just don't want to see that in this game. I mean, punt the ball. I mean, I don't know, throw a deep pass and throw it to the other team or something like that as a punt.
No,
I don't know.
It looked like they finally figured out the punting game the last game too. That was another bright spot. They had that sweet one that was down at like the 2-yard line.
Yeah, that was Ijon Marshall on that one.
Yeah.
Hey, so Christian's saying 6 field goals for Air Force. 6 field goals for Army, 5 field goals for Air Force, 18-15 game. Just gonna kick field goals. Just gonna kick field goals all game.
Oh,
That would not be a far-fetched score. I like this. I like the score.
I mean, that's not far off from the 84 game that Sassaman was talking about. I think there was a lot of field goals in that one.
I don't know how you remember that, Brendan. He talked for so long and he had so many good stories. I can't remember that one, Steve. I mean, that was just man.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be at the bar you guys are going to be at on.
Yeah, I need.
He's in Denver. He's in Denver, so
yeah. There's a I forget the name of the bar, but there's a watch party in Denver as well. So
okay.
I'm
trying to contact him. He said he was going to get us Jim Young on the podcast. I'm holding him to it still, Steve.
Yeah.
I'm contacting him every other week. Man, that was fun. James, it's been really fun. We really appreciate you having you on and giving us that scouting report. Was awesome from seeing them in Air Force Live. Yeah, just great to have you back. And guys, if you're watching this right now, check out our YouTube channel. Has James Solo podcast on there. If you search for his name, and also we've had some really good ones. Steve, right? We're trying to get a couple more on, and we're going to do the Bulls father and son right soon. And I'm trying to get reach into the Army history vaults and trying to get some older players to Lehman Hall possibly down the road too. It's been fun, and we'll be back here on Saturday. Steve, I don't know. Oh, you got some basketball, so maybe we'll do a later podcast if you.
Yeah. Saturday night will be good.
We'll definitely do a review back here on Saturday night. Brendan, I hope you can join us, and Steve and James, always welcome on the Black Knight Nation podcast. James,
I appreciate that. Yep.
It's
fun to be here.
Beat them.
Beat them.